So we've talked about Jeff Brom going to Louisville, which was a move that made a lot of sense. He's going home, and Louisville is a very good job. This is a place where you can get a lot of good players. You can compete in the ACC. I get it. He leaves behind Purdue, which just won the Big Ten West, which has shown that you can get some guys there. But what do the Boilermakers do now? And
I saw a lot of people saying that our Big Ten job theory. So I don't know if you read this, but earlier in the week, I ranked the open jobs from 1 to 21 in terms of recruiting potential. And I had some Big Ten teams behind teams that were in the that weren't in the Big Ten. And a lot of people were like, well, why would you do that if the budget was and I thought that was a fair point. Maybe I should have ranked Big Ten teams higher based on the impending budgets that were coming.
They can pay more. I was talking to a Big Ten AD about this the other night, and this person thinks that with all the money coming in and the fact that they have to spend it on something, you may see Indiana act like Ole Miss or Purdue act like Mississippi State.
But I don't think that this situation, though, discredits that thought process. I think this is a situation where somebody probably just preferred to go home.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And as somebody tweeted that at me, can we stop saying that Purdue would steal
I saw a lot of that.
No, Jeff Brom played at Louisville. He's from Louisville. Like, that is a very different situation than if he had been from, I don't know, San Antonio. Like, that would have been, I bet he would stay at Purdue if he'd been from San Antonio. So we go to our friends' message board geniuses whenever there's a coaching change because those are always fun. There's a poster on the gold and black message board called Breezes, which is a perfect name for a Purdue poster. Top of the list, Ari. Who do you think?
Urban Meyer.
Yep, of course.
I knew.
Give him $9 million.
The reason why I guessed that is because every single person is going to put Urban Meyer on the top of their list on this message board geniuses account. So, are there any real ones or are they all fake?
Yes, actually, Breezes has some interesting name. Now, Breezes also has Chris Peterson on there. Chris Peterson is not taking the Purdue job. He's pretty comfortable doing what he's doing at Fox. But the name I saw that was interesting is Kalen DeBoer. This was Breezes' second choice. Kalen DeBoer, the current Washington coach, was Fresno State before that, but gets to Washington. They go 10-2. Kalen DeBoer, former Indiana offensive coordinator that worked with Michael Penix in Indiana. I don't think you're going to steal him after his first year at Washington. I don't think so.
Not crazy, though.
This is that right. As soon as I saw it, I was like, well, they could really throw a ton of money at him, I suppose.
They could pay more.
Yeah, they could pay a lot more. So would they do it? And that is the question I have, because I know Ohio State will. I think Penn State will, now that Pat Kraft's the AD. He's a much more football forward type AD than what they had before. I think Minnesota will. They gave PJ another deal. So Wisconsin did. We know that. I think Purdue could make a splash if they want to. All of these Big Ten schools can afford to make a splash. They all have the money. So it's really up to Mike Babinski and their administration to decide how they feel about this. How do they want to be? What do they want to be? So,
and I bet you they're more money drunk right now playing in the Big Ten championship game of like, wow, that felt good.
Absolutely. So Matthew C., Purdue makes all that Big Ten money, but they run their program on the cheap like an ACC or Pac-12 school. Well, yeah, that's the case in a lot of the Big Ten. But I don't think it's going to be the case for long, because I think when you have that much, you can't just stuff it under your mattress forever.
No, there's nowhere to put it.
Exactly. So, like, Kalen DeBoer would make perfect sense to just throw a truckload of money at. And I still don't think you get him because he's been there. A lot of coaches, just even as attractive as the offer is,
because they're people. People don't want to move across country more than once in a year.
Although that is exactly how Michigan State got Mel Tucker. They make the offer. He says no. He's like, I just got to Colorado. I'm not going anywhere. And then they come back and like, what if we double it? What if we jack up the assistant coach salary pool? Yeah, and then he's like, well, I can't say no to that.
Yeah, the Godfather offer. Go to DeBoer and offer him $1 million raise, make him say no, and he goes, you know what, we're going to double it.
Yeah. How about $3 million more? You want that? How's that feel?
Yeah, it's not that far of a plane ride. We'll cover the shipping expenses for your stuff.
Golly.
I mean, it just would be a inherently harder job on this. It's like on the surface, it is that way, but if you have all the money, it neutralizes it. So it's like you'd be crazy to have this conversation 2 years ago.
Yeah, we think you're nuts. But let's say Indiana and Tom Allen part ways next year. They're going to have a ton of money too.
Mm-hmm. It's just, I can't wait to see the first wave of the money being used.
Yeah, and I don't know who does it because just because they have, like I said, I don't know if Purdue will do it. But somebody's going to do it, whether it's Purdue or Indiana. We'll see what happens with Northwestern. If Fitzgerald winds up, deciding down the road it's time to go. They have just gobs of money for those schools that have been in it. Now, Maryland and Rutgers are in a little bit different boat because they were in bad financial situations when they got to the Big Ten, still digging their way out of them. But, we're seeing Nebraska spend. They've always wanted to. If Kirk Ferentz retires at some point, what does Iowa do? How much is Illinois willing to spend to keep Bielema if he's winning? So this is a different day in the Big Ten. And Purdue, you've got a job that I think a lot of people are going to want. And you're going to have probably better options than you've ever had before. So cannot wait to see who you pick. Ari?
I'm reading Chris Vanini's job profile.
Okay.
And here's some names that he put.
Okay.
Sean Lewis, if he's still available.
He's not. He's the OC at
Is
Colorado.
Everybody available with money in the way? Or
oh no, I mean you could, if you offered him the head coaching job at Purdue, he would come.
Bounce, right?
Being the
Georgia offensive coordinator Todd Monken.
That would make sense.
Former Florida head coach Dan Mullen.
Also would make sense. That might be the right spot for him because it is very similar to Mississippi State within its league. And that's the level where you can win more than they're historically used to you winning, but you don't have to recruit 5-star recruits.
And you don't have to play Alabama.
Right.
Wake Forest's Dave Clawson.
I don't think he'd take it.
Iowa State's Matt Campbell. Is he still a hot name?
He's not. He's cooled off, but everybody knows he's still a very good coach.
Yeah.
So I could see that. And he's an Ohio guy. You're getting back closer to home. That would make sense.
Former defensive coordinator from Wisconsin, Jim Leonhard.
That would be very interesting too. I mean, I think Jim Leonhard was among a lot of people who thought he was going to get the Wisconsin job. But if you can get Luke Fickell, you get Luke Fickell. And now he's got to figure out what to do. But I talked to somebody today who said they thought that Jim Leonhard might take a year off.
Former Texas A&M head coach and your boy, Kevin Sumlin.
Purdue grad, former Purdue linebacker, Kevin Sumlin.
Akron head coach, Joe Moorhead.
Interesting. I thought it was unfair when Moorhead got fired at Mississippi State. It was this thing, I've said this many times, where I think Dan Mullen got kind of skewed the numbers for them, where they got so used to how Dan was winning that they did not realize how historically different that was than most coaches. So they didn't give Joe Moorhead a lot of patience, and I don't think that was fair. But I don't know that after year one in Akron, not sure that you're ready to jump on that, and that's going to make it'd be hard to sell. But yep. I could see him at least giving him an interview and seeing where he's at on that.
NC State head coach Dave Doran.
So his name pops up for everything. Every single thing. Does he overachieve at NC State?
72 and 53 in 10 years.
I'm torn on that because they typically schedule a fairly easy out-of-conference schedule, though they did have Texas Tech on the out-of-conference schedule this year. So they load up on those. He did beat Clawson this year. That had been a problem in previous years. So that would make sense. But his name comes up for every single job like this.
And then one last one, Western Kentucky head coach Tyson Helton.
Tyson Helton's done a good job.
Brahms offensive coordinator at WKU from 2014 and 15.
Yeah, Tyson Helton's done a very good job at Western Kentucky, and he just lost his quarterback. So there's possibility.
I don't know if Doran can link up with his quarterback at Purdue.
I think that's possible.
we're gonna start seeing some. What is that? That's just like off the field grab ass. Is that what that is?
So you're saying Caleb Williams going to USC was off the field grab ass?
Yeah, that's grab ass.
Yeah, I agree with that.